Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. So in a previous episode, I made a pretty big investment, at least for me. And that investment is what you're watching right here. This is the Panasonic Lumix G85 4K camera. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I have hundreds of videos, and actually I have more than 1,000 videos that are not all publicly shown. Now, the thing is, all of those videos were shot using my smartphones. I started with my HTC One, then I moved over to the LG G5, and I've been using that for quite a while now. And so at some point I wanted to upgrade, and I finally made the upgrade. Now, if you have not seen that video, I will leave it in the comments area below where you can actually see my unboxing of this brand new camera. And so I do want to do a full review of this camera, but it's going to take me a lot of time to really get into this camera because there's a huge difference between using a smartphone and using a camera. So this is going to be my initial review of both the things that I really like about them and the things that I don't like at all. So let's go ahead and start with the thing that I absolutely love about having a real camera, and that is the quality. Now, even though specs wise you could get 1080p on your smartphone and even 4K on your smartphone, there's a big difference between 1080 on a camera versus on a smartphone. I mean, even though the camera technology has gotten so much better on smartphones, it simply cannot compete with the amount of hardware that you could put into a phone. The optics, the lenses, is simply on another level. And I hope that's something that you could see as well. Now, if you are watching my YouTube videos on your smartphone, you probably won't be able to tell the difference. But however, whenever you blow it up, maybe you watch it on a laptop, your desktop, or your TV, you will be able to tell the quality differences, especially when it comes to the sharpness, the clarity, and also the color reproduction as well. I think it's on a whole nother level. And so that is the very first thing that I absolutely love about having a real camera versus having my smartphone camera, is the quality. It's miles better than what I have with my smartphone. Now, the other thing I enjoy is the fact that the audio is better. Now, you could obviously buy microphones for your smartphone, which will improve it. But the microphone that I have that came with my actual camera, which is the Rode video mic, it's absolutely awesome. I don't really have to edit this audio at all. It comes with a windscreen or a dead cat, and so far the audio has been excellent. And that saves you a lot of time if you have to actually go into the actual video and edit out the audio or clean it up, basically. So that's great that you actually have that there. And then another thing that I love is the fact that I'm learning a lot about not only photography but obviously videography. Because having a camera, you have to learn things such as ISO, you have to learn aperture, you have to learn shutter speed, and many other things. And so I'm learning this myself. I've never really had to learn any of these things because with the smartphone, you don't really have to think about those things for the most part. And the thing is, once you learn these skills, these base foundations, you get better at it. Well, even if you go back to your smartphone, if you have a phone with actual custom settings, you can actually adjust all these settings similar to what you have in your camera, and your photo and video quality will improve there as well. And so those are the main things that I absolutely love about having a real camera at this point. There's so many other things I could think about, but I'm trying to keep it real general and simple at this point. Now, the things that I do not like about this camera is, first and foremost, is the autofocus. Now, the Panasonic series of phones, they use what's called a contrast-based autofocus. And I think this is something that's in all their G series phones, even in their top-end models. And so the problem with that is your autofocus is not the best. Okay, now if you are a person who does a lot of vlog style videos, then I would say the Panasonic G85, which the G7 is basically the model below this, it's probably not going to be the best for that. But the one thing that you do learn as you're using your camera is that you learn how to adjust settings to where you could compensate for this. Like right now, I've adjusted my settings to where the autofocus is pretty good. And so that's not to say the autofocus is bad. It's just that if you compare it to something like the Canons, especially where it has dual autofocus, or the Sony cameras, their autofocusing is much better. And so if you're primarily going to be using your camera as a vlogger, then maybe the Panasonic G85 is not the best camera for that, even though it offers a whole bunch of other features besides that. So I do have to make that point. And the second thing is actually a negative of a positive that I gave a little bit earlier, and that is the fact that when you have a real camera, things become more complex. That's just the nature of the game. I mean, with a smartphone, you point and shoot. With a camera, it depends. It depends on the situation. There are auto modes on here as well. However, you know, if you want to get the best photo and video quality, you're going to have to learn how to not only use your camera, but you're going to have to take the time to make adjustments and settings depending on the environment that you are at. Now, another thing that I don't enjoy about it, and this is something that's kind of weird, I didn't really think about, is the fact that this is heavy. And this is actually a more portable camera versus something like a DSLR. But man, this thing is heavy. I have it on a tripod right now. I have it on my Manfrotto, and I'm having to constantly switch my hands because it is getting heavy, you know. And so I might have to get some type of gimbal in the future. I mean, it's not bad, but if you're doing, once again, vlogging style like this, where you have to hold your camera, it's gonna get heavy and it's gonna start hurting your arms after a while. And so what are some other things that I don't like? Well, there's not very many things that I don't like. I mean, besides the autofocus issue, besides the fact that there's some complexity, overall, this is an absolutely awesome investment. And if you are the type of person who is a content creator and you've been shooting videos on your smartphone, I do recommend that you might evaluate whether or not it's something that you might want to do and actually upgrade. Okay, now I will always say that if you're starting out, smartphone is more than enough. And even if you are a veteran content creator and you are happy with your smartphone video quality, then there's no need for you to upgrade. But if you are on the fringes of it and you're thinking whether or not it's worth it, I'd say it's definitely worth it. You know, it's worth it for you to invest, in my case, $1,000, but you don't have to spend that much. You know, you could get really great cameras that do 1080p and even some that do 4K, you know, for like $500 to $700. You know, the Canon, I think a ES M50, I think is one that's been highly recommended. There's also some Sony Cybershots as well. So I might actually pick those up as a secondary camera for vlogging because, you know, as I just stated earlier, the autofocus is not great on this, and a lot of times if I'm going to be using my Panasonic G85, I'm probably going to be using it for other things besides vlogging, okay? And I could definitely get better quality out of G85. And so those are my thoughts, my initial review on the Panasonic Lumix G85. If you are out in the market looking for a camera, I think this is an awesome camera, you know, and as I get better at this, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to better manage this autofocus. You know, that's probably the biggest thing for me. And also with the Micro Four Thirds, then you normally don't do the best when it comes to low lighting situation. Okay, usually the DSLRs do a lot better at that. But overall, this is a huge step up from using a smartphone camera. And so if you had any thoughts on this Panasonic G85 or any other cameras, whether it's Canon, Sony, or even your smartphones as well, be sure to leave in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hey geeks, if you are a creative geek like me and you wanted to learn how to create content on YouTube and other places on the internet, then check out my Gold Content Creators Group, where you'll get access to 30 videos plus additional content for all the creative geeks out there. And the best part of it is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and sign up for my Gold Content Creators Group. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com, and I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.